So in this video, I'm going to be looking at how to troubleshoot connecting to your client to your server for question 2 from the network architecture part 2. So what I need to check firstly is I go into Hyper-V Manager. From Hyper-V Manager, I'm then going to ensure that both my server and my client is running. Okay, so both the server and the client is running. I'm then going to connect to the server and I'm going to connect to the client. So I can see here that there's my server and then I can see here there's my client. So in this window, I've got my client and in this window, I've got my server. So to join the client now to the server, I need to know what is my domain. My domain is called subenn.com and I'm going to now try to join my client to the domain. So if I right click here and if I go to system, this is in my client, and I scroll down to system information, and then I go here where it says computer name and I say change settings, and then I can click on change to change the domain membership. So I can see that my PC is called Subenn MLA PC01 and it's a member of a work group. I want to make it member of a domain. So the domain now is called subenn.com. So I'm going to type in subenn.com and I'm going to join the client to the domain. Now, very often, most of us seem to be getting this error that says that the Active Directory domain controller for the domain subenn could not be contacted. Ensure that your domain name is typed correctly. If the name is correct, click the details for troubleshooting information. So what we're going to do now is we're going to troubleshoot this and find out what is causing this problem. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Hyper-V Manager. In Hyper-V Manager, we're going to check that both the client and the server are connected to the same virtual switch. So I can see here the server. If I go to the settings for the server, and if I click on network adapter, I can see under virtual switch, it is connected to NWAR switch. Okay, so I'll say okay. Then I'll go to the client and I'll check that the client is also connected to the NWAR switch. So I go to the settings for the client and I click on the network adapter and I can see this one is saying default switch. So I'm going to change it to network NWAR switch. So that's the first thing that I need to do, is to ensure that both these computers in Hyper-V is connected to the same switch. The next thing I need to do is I need to check the IP addresses of both the client and of the server. So I'm going to go to my server first and I'm going to look at what is its IP address. So I'm going to open the Network and Sharing Center. And on the Network and Sharing Center, I'm going to go to Ethernet and I'm going to go to Properties and I'm going to look at IP version 4. Properties. Now, we're all going to set, just to make it simple, because the assignment is due tomorrow, to make it simple, we're all going to set the IP address as follows. 192.168, we'll make this 150 and 1. Okay, so on the server, this is what your server's TCP IP address should be. 192.168.50.1. And we're going to say, make sure your default gateway is left blank, and then the preferred DNS server, if you don't put anything there, it automatically goes to 127.0.0.1. So we're just going to set it as it is shown here and say OK, and then close. Your device is about to restart. It will restart at that. You want to restart now. Okay, I'm not sure why it wants to restart, but I'm just going to close this. Okay, and close again, and then close. Now, the other thing that I need to check is in the Network and Sharing Center, I need to go to Change Advanced Sharing Settings. And under this one here, I need to turn on Network Discovery, right? So Network Discovery must be turned on, okay? So this can be turned on actually for all networks or for the domain. We're currently in the domain profile, and I'm going to say Save Changes. Then I'm going to go to my client, and on the client, I'm going to now do the same thing. So I'm going to open up my network properties here for my client. So I go to Network Connections, and then I scroll down to the Network and Sharing Center. I click on Ethernet and Properties. And the properties here is going to be TCP IP version 4 properties. And I'm going to set the IP address as follows: 192.168.50, and the client is going to be .2. .192.168.50, and then 2. The subnet mask, it will automatically put it in. The default gateway is going to be 192.168.50.1, which is the server. The DNS server's address is also going to be 192.168.50.1. So you can use exactly the same IP addresses that I'm using on the client as well. So this client now I've set to 192.168.50.2. 192.168.50.1 is the default gateway and the DNS server, okay, which is the address of the server. Then I say okay, close, yes, close. And then I look at the advanced sharing settings here, and I ensure that network discovery is turned on, right? That's the question that it just asked me. So if it didn't ask me the question, then I come to network advanced sharing settings, and I turn on network discovery. Now, let me try to connect the client again to the domain, and let's see if it's going to work this time. So I go again to my system information. So system info. I'm looking for change the settings. And I'm going to click on change. And I'm going to say you must join to the domain. And my domain is called subain.n.com. And I say OK. And now you can see it's asking me for the username to join this computer to the domain. So the username I'm going to use is the username for the server. The server's username is administrator. So I type in administrator, and then I type in my password. And I say OK. Now it says, welcome to the Subain N domain. So I've successfully now joined this computer to the domain, and it's going to now ask me to restart my computer. So I can close all of this, and I can restart this computer, and then I can continue with the rest of the activities. You also can do the other activities without completing this activity, but if certain other activities are dependent on your computer being joined to the domain, then also those activities you won't be able to do. So these are the things that you need to check to ensure that your client computer can connect to the server, to the domain.